You wouldn't think that if it was made of jelly, though. Hello and welcome, Star Wars fans, to this week's episode of Duel of the Ranks, a show where we debate takes so hot that they'd melt a planet with twin suns. My name's Brody, and today I am joined by my co-host Brian as we attempt to discover what story is truly the best from a galaxy far, far away. On this week's episode, we're going to be discussing ranks and hot takes from the Clone Wars Season 1, Episodes 17 and 18. It's the blue mist fountain place.
Yeah.
No, the blue shadow virus and
Mhm.
the mystery of 1,000 moons. I thought I was going to try. I was really going to try to see if I could get through it, know the names, but no, to no avail. But by the end of this episode, we will, though, even though we won't know the names, we will have a definitive ranking for both of these pieces of Star Wars content. Brian, we are down a co-host today.
I
Amanda's
know.
not here.
Her Force Ghost couldn't join us either. So
Yeah, just
that's
up and left us. And now one time she left us this year for Beyonce. So like that's a
yeah.
reasonable enough excuse, I guess. But
Who wouldn't
today,
leave you for Beyonce?
yeah, but like there's no Beyonce today. What's she doing? What could she possibly be doing that's better than talking to us about Star Wars? Oh, it's because we're talking about these two episodes. I
Right.
see.
Yeah. She wanted to stay as far away from the Jar Jar episodes as possible.
Oh,
She didn't even want to watch it.
well, okay, she's not here, and normally she provides a pretty good synopsis about who was in the episode, what happened, but she's not here today. So today I'm gonna wing it. Okay,
Oh, I mean, I got one written if you want it, but
you
I kind
wrote
of
it.
like.
You want
I
to see
did,
me?
yeah. I did what I thought I was supposed to.
Oh, it was you.
I mean,
that was-
I kind of do want to see what you had loaded in the chamber, though.
All right. Well, I didn't write anything, so I
Mhm.
guarantee you it's better than mine. So here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna say it, and then you can go after me. But please, just
Okay.
yeah. So this episode's all about a very angry German alien who is a scientist who's got his eyes are a little too close together, and I think that's kind of just like between his nose. He's just angry about it. He's angry about something there, and he wants to bring in this blue virus, and not like Eiffel 65, not the fun dance kind of blue. Everyone's just bumming out and is going to die if they are exposed to this virus. In fact, Jar Jar's cousin, she was shepherding some Nabooian cows who all died from drinking the water. And so she knew not to drink it. But Padme and all them, well, they were wearing spacesuits because they didn't know it was in the air, or it was just in the water, not the air yet. But they found out through that they could go down to an underground layer where all these evil henchmen do evil henchman things and, yeah, try to stop the virus from spreading. That's the first episode. And Obi-Wan and Anakin that whole time are trying to also stop the Doctor by being Jedi and fighting droids and things. Ultimately, they stop him. He's under arrest, but Ahsoka and Padme are locked in the basement still, and they've been exposed to the virus. So it's now airborne, by the way. It's what the Doctor worked on. So now they got to go to this other planet where there's a whole bunch of droids. And it's kind of like you think that the planet's basically abandoned, but it's not. There's this kid, and he's got, as I said, all these droids who are just there to serve his will and I guess keep his pinup posters going. That was kind of a weird scene. But anyway, so he's got these droids for who knows what. I guess they just pamper him and use him for the radio. And he tells him, hey, you can't get off this planet because there's this old ghost. Turns out it's just this laser separatist shield thing that's keeps everyone on the planet because they make it impossible to leave. But it was a call out to the Death Star and kind of the look and feel of that. So whole reason they go to that planet because they have to grab a cure to save Padme and Ahsoka, and they get it. They go back, they save them, and the people are like, wow. And all in doing so, Anakin and Obi-Wan just basically turn off the shields by blowing them up. So yeah.
Like you do. Yeah. That was pretty good. I think you pretty much covered all of it.
Except like every detail and everything that like actually mattered and all
You
the
got the
important
droids. You got the German scientist. Unfortunately, yeah, Captain Typho didn't make an appearance in that summary. But he honestly deserves so much more. I'm glad they were able to reel him in for this episode. But man, that's a cool character that they added. I want to see his story continued. Lots of characters actually in the story that I want to see more of.
Yes. Oh, 100%. Now read me your synopsis because people are going to be like, you idiot. How on earth about Star Wars? And I still wonder how they let me talk about Star Wars. But please, your rich details, what actually happened in these episodes.
This is actually much less detailed. It's pretty to the point. Padme and Jar Jar return to Naboo. With help from Captain Typho and 3PO, they discover a hidden lab where the maniacal Dr. Nuvo Vindi has been resurrecting the Blue Shadow virus. That dude's nuts. Separatist forces capture the Senator, and Anakin and Ahsoka and Obi-Wan arrive with reinforcements to prevent them from unleashing the virus on the galaxy, because the Separatists are behind it all, I guess. Because they always are. Anakin risks the mission to free his wife, but they save the planet and capture Dr. Vindi. Droids release the virus inside the lab with Padme, Jar Jar, Ahsoka, and clones sealed inside. So Anakin and Obi-Wan have to race against the clock to find an antidote. They are helped by a kid named Jabo Hood on the planet Diego, or in one of its moons or something. I guess I need to check that detail. Who insists that even the best pilots in the galaxy can't fly past the curse of Droll, which turns out is just a big laser energy field that destroys ships trying to leave. With the assistance of Jabo's reprogrammed battle droids, Anakin and Obi-Wan blow up the laser generator and escape just in time to save their loved ones.
See, that was such a good summary. I think we can leave this chair permanently empty, and
just move my head over there.
Yeah, just move your head over there, and just virtually hologram you in. I don't even know what that would cost, but we can't afford it. I just know we can't afford it. But what I can afford is to talk about these episodes, and really, I want to try to understand. I mean, I know we're not taking Amanda's rank into account just yet because she's not here. So, well, I'll have to. I mean, right now, I gave it the first episode of 46.4. You gave it a 52.8. And then, again, same things next episode, 58%, 52 for you. They're fine. They're middle of the road episodes. They're enjoyable. They're watchable.
For the most part. Yeah.
Yeah. No, ultimately, the story's fine. It's just fine. There's nothing, you don't love it. You don't hate it. You just watch it and you get to the next thing. And that's all there really was. There's not really, there was some fun immersive universe stuff, but there's not even really a whole lot to dissect here.
Right. There's not a lot going on under the surface. It's all pretty classic Clone Wars, Anakin and Padme sneaking around doing their Clone Wars thing, and then, just slicing through droids like butter, and all the Clone Warsy stuff is in there. It's kind of making me sad that this show came out. TV in general, like the way it has to be edited and cut and written for the small screen and to accommodate ads and stuff. It just makes me really grateful to live in a time of Disney Plus originals, and being the directors are a little more free to edit it and put it in whatever they want. They don't have to tone it down as much to fit the TV audience.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting too, there's things that are toned down from a story perspective. I will say, I still feel like it's weird that they're sexualizing characters in this show. And maybe it's just me, but I don't think it is, because it still had the more pinup posters this season. I think it's the third time we've seen it for Jabin's planet, where he's hanging out, just living life. Yeah. And then you got a whole, and just crop tops galore for Ahsoka, the Naboo lady, Padme. I'm I guess this is just the thing that everyone in Star Wars does, at least in the first season of Clone Wars.
They're trying to appeal to 12-year-old boys, I guess. That's just
strange. Yep, strange stuff. There's more of that this season, and thankfully they Bad Batch characters and stuff are designed I think a little more tastefully, so that's nice. But overall, the music was good.
There was some in-universe music. I always love it when there's in-universe music. I didn't really start to appreciate it until Jedi Survivor, really, or Fallen Order, I guess. But having that little scene of Jabo on his little hammock with the vulture droids, I thought that was so funny. He's just there chilling. They got the radio turned on, and playing some space reggae and just kind of hanging out, having
Yeah.
good vibes.
Yeah, just chilling. No, that was a lot of fun. So I mean, honestly, it was a lot of fun. It's a great time, but it's inconsequential. And it's just something to, when you're eating popcorn and you don't really want to have to like use your brain, put on some Clone Wars. You're cleaning the house, put it on in the background. You're doing dishes, put it on in the background. You want to like pretend you're doing something, but you're not actually doing anything at all, put it on in the background. But don't take a Friday night and say, we're going to watch Clone Wars and expect you're probably going to watch some great content. Because to this point, we're just about done with season 1 so far. And our overall rankings for this season, looking at it, let's see, we've got, this Clone Wars arc sits at a 65%. Believe it or not, Brian, that is the second best rating until Amanda comes in. We'll see what her numbers are. But right now it sits at the second best rating for any of the arcs, from season 1. So like that's saying something. So anyway, overall, right now though, the Clone Wars season 1 is sitting at a 56.33%. So yeah, that's something.
It could be worse. I mean, I don't know. It's passable. But the rest of the season, I'm actually really looking for. I love the Ryloth arc a lot. They're 3 very, very unique episodes, but all have like a kind of like the Battle of Endor. They all come together in that cool fusion kind of way. It'd be cool to see an edit of them all kind of cut together, actually.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's it for this part of the episode. There's other things.
Not a whole lot to talk about in these. There's a little bit of. If there was any like significance or consequence to this episode, I think it's when Obi-Wan really learns that Padme, or that Anakin would do anything for Padme.
Yeah, and Anakin's very like, he totally taps into the dark side this episode.
Obi-Wan's starting to see through him. I'm glad they were able to kind of have that journey together. They don't really have a lot of moments like that. They're very sprinkled throughout. Usually Anakin and Padme are pretty good at being sneaky, but this episode he wore his emotions on his sleeve.
Sometimes, Anakin, you have to take 2 steps back to take a leap forward. And sometimes you just have to have the will to jump.
Hell yeah. That's great dialogue.
That the second episode I certainly thought was better than the first, because there's the pressure. But like you said, it's this TV format where it's this very short, very brief story, and you got to like get from A to B and tell something within 20 minutes that's like concise. So no, like that's why I'm not hating, because I understand, but also they do get considerably better at this with this blueprint over time. So we know where it's going. It just takes a while to get there. So, well, I guess we do have one other pretty big thing that hasn't changed anything. Speaking of inconsequential, we ended up taking all of your rankings for Ahsoka, because you were brought on as a host during that time. You guest ranked some things, but we didn't actually take your numbers in. So we did incorporate your numbers into the Ahsoka show, now that we actually just finished like reviewing that entirely. And we went from like an 80.1 to a 79% overall for the entire show. So it's good to know that I honestly thought you were going to tank it
I did too.
And overall, unless there's something, the last episode you gave a 56%, which I gave 56.4. And you gave it a 60.8. And you gave Far, Far Away episode 6 an 82%. And 71.6. 85.2 for the Fallen Jedi episode. That's just episode 4 with Anakin. 73.6, 78, and 83. So you really didn't give many of these episodes bad scores until the finish line there.
Right. I forgot how excited I was like partway through the season. I think after episode 4 was when it peaked for me, when I realized like, oh man, this show can go so many places. In fact, here's my pitch. This is one of the things that I was, I'm disappointed because my thing didn't happen. But my pitch for the last or for Peridia as a planet is that there's no force on it at all, and that's why Sabine has to kind of come into her own leadership role. She has to kind of take on more of the responsibility in the group because she's got her gadgets and her experience with weapons and stuff. So I think something like that. Any interesting kind of rule associated with that planet would have gone a long way. Anything more creative world building wise would have done those last 3 episodes a lot of good. That was just one little. There's of course, if you make it like Mortis and all the life and the fertility of the planet and everything, then that would have been a little over the top. Maybe wouldn't have played out as well in live action. So I get the more kind of subdued visual style that they went for when they added in, or when they reference world between world stuff and the the father, the son, and the daughter. But I don't know. Yeah, it definitely fell flat for me towards the end. And episode 5, I'm just not on board with. I don't know. So I don't know. I think I've got a lot more that I would do differently than things I would keep in the later seasons, especially. And then I think the fact that a lot of these things don't pay off at the end also kind of weaken the beginning of the show for me, because it's like, oh yeah, it's fine that it's slower paced. They have to introduce all these things to a new audience. They got to do all the exposition. I understood that they have to do that at the beginning of the episode, but episode 8, literally we're like 10 minutes into the episode and Hu Yang is giving in more exposition to Ezra on the ship, and I'm just like, this is what I don't like about just like the I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't want to make it about just Dave Filoni, because there's a lot more, people at work here, a lot of moving parts to create a show and to build a universe out like this, like they're doing. But I think the transition to live action has just not been a friendly one. I just haven't been a fan of his. Some of his visual style is cool. It's very, samurai movie-esque, but I think overall, the characters are the biggest indication of, yeah, they can hit the same poses, because Dave Filoni's origins are as an animator. They can do and say the character things that the characters say and the other things that they're in, but like, if those characters don't have a reason to be there, they don't have an interesting story or anything interesting to say about the state of the galaxy, then it's just kind of, it's popcorn. It's popcorn cinema, which is fine to have. It's fine to exist, but it's definitely, I think, a wasted opportunity.
Yeah, and I mean, when I look at the numbers here, like I said, 79% overall. Like, it's not that it's a bad show, and that's, I mean, I know we've already had this conversation many times, but when we look at it right now, Ahsoka sits at a 79%, The Mandalorian as a whole, 78.73, and Obi-Wan Kenobi at 78.04. So, which, I mean, I think a lot of folks would be upset about Obi-Wan Kenobi being lower than everything else. But my biggest problem with all of these things here, now we do have Book of Boba Fett, the only other show that one sits at a 71.75. Now, that's all the live action. So right now, 71.75. I mean, if you took out, excluding Andor, the average, if you see a Star Wars show come out and it's live action, it's probably going to be about a 76.88% overall. So that's just this, which feels very fair, because that's exactly what it is, just a C.
Passable. Yeah.
It's just passable. And so our ratings reflect that. I mean, when people, if they were to say, how could you say Ahsoka's better than, whatever.
It's
right?
pretty neck and neck. Yeah.
They're all neck and neck. I mean, Obi-Wan Kenobi's barely below Mando, and Mando's barely below Ahsoka. And I mean, for myself, I did enjoy the story more in Ahsoka, where season 1 for Mando, it's fun, but there's not really a lot to it. It's these very short, self-contained stories that really weren't meant to offend anyone, really rattle the boat or rock the boat in any way. And it's a fun ending. You enjoyed the climactic ending, trying to, kind of like the saloon going after the kid. Season 2, they're like, well, now that we know everyone loves this, I guess it can be a part of the bigger Star Wars universe. So let's bring in everybody. Luke, Boba Fett, Ahsoka, Bo-Katan. And then it's like, wow, this was kind of about them. And now it's not about really Grogu and Mando at all. And then you go into season 3, which I still think is, for me, the best story of anything with Mando to this point. But the
Hmm.
problem is, it's just like Ahsoka. I thought Mando season 3 was so interesting, so entertaining, and I even like the
Hmm.
Christopher Lloyd and
Oh
Lizzo
yeah,
Jack Black episode.
I love
I,
Jack Black.
yeah, loved all that.
Always a
And
win.
then it got to the finish line, and it's just like, not only are we not going to go for a touchdown, we're just going to stand here at the 1 yard line and fall. I'm like,
Oh no.
that's what it felt like. It's still for me the best season because there's so much good stuff up to that point.
Hmm.
They just can't get rid of that. But that's what, and then also Obi-Wan Kenobi. It's fine,
Yeah, I don't really talk
inconsequential.
much about Obi-Wan.
It's good. I enjoy it. I love
Uh,
anything with Vader on screen,
yeah.
but
I
it's inconsequential to the greater story. And you
You
didn't.
think so? I thought it did a lot to kind of add to A New Hope, at least for me. Like I watched A New Hope right after it finished, and I was like, oh my gosh, this just like I just enjoy this so much more. Just picturing like little Leia, when Obi-Wan sees her boarding the Millennium Falcon, I'm just like picturing him. He's like, oh, finally the kids are together, and
Mm,
like this the fulfillment of his purpose. And I think that journey that he took with Leia was really definitely the highlight for me. It was, of course, kind of weird and goofy and cheesy at times, I guess, and without a very compelling main villain other than Vader. Like I can see where there wasn't enough tension for most people to really be engaged throughout all of
yeah.
that. I
Well,
understand that.
it's this thing that these Star Wars shows do where they introduce an unnecessary character. And for me, on the Obi-Wan show, like, I don't dislike Reva as a character. I just don't
Mhm.
think that she should have shared screen time with Vader. That just wasn't fair. And so ultimately, yeah, if you could have had more of that conflict and really just jump into that hate for Vader, and it's
Mhm.
just this back and forth, especially if you got one episode just about Vader, and it shows like
Mhm.
some of his conquests, like with Inquisitors, like taking out
Right.
Jedi and everything else, and his even a 5 minute section where it's just focusing on his pain with Padme. That
Mhm.
stuff would go a long way. And then you see everything with
Mhm.
Obi-Wan and what he's struggling with. Like, every one of their fight scenes, I was glued. So, like, there was great stuff there. But yeah, I mean, and I didn't mind the whole plot of like him going after Leia. I thought it was a
Mhm.
little weak,
Yeah.
but overall, like that was the thing. Like I didn't really. Yeah, it felt kind of forced. Like, all right, here was this kind of blip in his story that
Mhm.
now we know. No one was asking, and I guess now we know. So that was Obi-Wan. So all these things, they just feel inconsequential at this point. But I'm hoping that, I mean, I know some folks love, some folks hate Bob Iger, but I'm really hoping with him coming back, maybe they'll take a step back, see the success of Andor, and
Mhm.
start releasing content that, you know, gets people excited because it's
What the
well
fans
written.
want. More Jabo Hood. We want more Jabo Hood content. That's what we're demanding.
That's what we all
Jabo
want.
Hood and his
Jayla,
legion of battle droid that he spray painted, and I was just looking through the episode. I forgot about the battle droids with like the B2 battle droid arm. It's like glued to the battle the B1 armor or whatever. The
mhm.
chassis, the chest plate, and I just forgot like how massive these B2 battle droids arms are.
Mm,
Um, I
yeah.
love just there's so many little details packed into those scenes. The droids are so funny in this episode.
Yeah.
We need more droid content.
And I love how like Anakin in the beginning there, he just kind of runs and he's just cutting through him like butter because he's so
And they're not
focused.
shooting at him. Mm.
Yeah, he's so focused, like he can't really see the bigger picture here. He's just determined and he's just going at it. And that's Anakin right there, peak Anakin. So no, I mean, overall, if you were Jabo Hood,
Hmm.
would you use like what would be your droid like army of choice? That would it be a bunch of B1s? Would you like to hang out with a bunch of B2s? Would it be
Mm.
droidicas?
No, the B ones know how to have a good time. They're chill. They're down to party. The B2s are a little more stuck up
You think
because
so?
they think they're all that. Yeah, they're the meatheads. You know, the dumb jocks of the droid army.
Yeah, well, I always thought they had like a deep voice too, and then
Yeah.
like you see Battlefront 3, one of his Star Wars Episode 3,
Mhm.
and yeah, they just like they took these menacing things and like, do you remember that opening sequence when like, what's that? I don't know. Go find out. And you're just like, oh, what the heck? Because like the
Yeah,
season before, it was like Roger, Roger.
right.
Episode 2, you're like, whoa. All right, I guess now we're nerfing these guys too.
Puberty to the droids. Yeah, droids actually go through the opposite. Their voices get a lot higher whenever they become a man. Yeah.
Yeah, an adult droid. Well, okay. So for if it were me, I think too I would stick with the B1s. Like you said, they're not as stuck up. I see a bunch of TikToks where people are like doing AI voiceovers with B1 battle droids.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just such a fan. Like they seem so chill. And like I know in Mando season 3, we had that
Oh yeah.
Blade Runner episode with Lizzo. And I mean, first off, I didn't know like the B2 looked super fluid, almost like he was kind of bendy and stuff. I was surprised he wasn't so rigid, but I wanted more scenes with the B1s because I was a kid with episode 1. I've got an affinity for him. Yeah. I know you do. You got a whole fan flick.
I've got a whole series of shorts, basically. Yeah, based on a battle droid that I think I might just do them in like a graphic novel format first before trying to do anything like, before making it an anime. But
yeah. Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say, why not like Unreal Engine? Just get like some rigged models and just go for it.
Yeah, there's tons of ways to do it now, and that was the best time to be a creator in this space. It's something I love about Star Wars is it's really not just about what Disney gives us, right? It's about what the fans have made out of it. At least a lot of my experience has been, around Battlefront and around fan films, making my own lightsaber movies as a kid, doing stuff like that, acting it out, being part of the world. So it's cool seeing technology be used like that so people can tell these own stories. And those videos of Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan hanging out reviewing the new stuff that comes out. I
loved that. Have you seen the one where it's Rogue One and the guy, I forget the impersonator's name, he's got he does the deep fakes and the impressions, and so they're sitting there watching, and then Qui-Gon's like, oh, who's this guy? And it's you just see Vader's lightsaber. I'm like, oh, he's got a flair for the dramatic or whatever. Everyone's like, oh, do you remember little Anakin Skywalker?
Oh,
like,
yes.
No, black cape. He's like, black leather and a cape. Was it a phase? He's like, no, he always was a mopey little emo. I just
perfect.
Loved it. So yeah, he's awesome. He's got like tons of them too. So
yeah.
But overall, that's this week's episode of Duel the Ranks. If it was as entertaining as the content we were talking about, there's a reason. There was not a whole lot to talk about on this week's episode. So we're just kind of getting through it. But
there will be next week. Yeah, this show's got a lot of ups and downs, but Ryloth is definitely an up for me. So
that is coming up. Now, I am curious though, because we do have an audience member who joins every week. And right now, I mean, this audience member named KG is here now, joined from the hospital once, and is joining now while driving. So I'm forced to believe that I'm hoping it's not us that put KG in the hospital. So hopefully you're okay. But overall, I know you weren't watching the Clone Wars. We said you need to, and all of our numbers so far are not proving that. But we promise it does turn around. She's just gonna follow the whole thing, get to the last 2 episodes that are amazing, and be like, everything else sucked.
And then it was just a masterpiece film at the end.
At the very end, she's like, I could have just watched the end. I'm like, no, you had to go through the trenches.
You gotta go. Yeah, you gotta go through what everyone else went through. Yeah. We earned this. We earned season 7 by watching Blue Shadow Virus.
Well, Well, it's so funny because people like, you have to watch Clone Wars. I'm like, all right, Mortis arc excluded. What else is there? And there is some fun things, but I do think it's like season 3 to 4 once it starts picking
It
up.
gets dark again. Yeah, they go into the Revenge of the Sith design with the Phase 2 troopers, and it's much more mature tone that it takes on after that.
Yeah. What would you say? Do you have a favorite season of the Clone Wars? Before, I know we were like ranking it, reviewing it, but like before we've done that,
I really like season 6 actually. Like that was kind of rushed. It was. I remember the way it went down. This was like right when Disney bought Lucasfilm, and they decided they were going to cancel Clone Wars and do Rebels instead. So I was a Rebels hater from the beginning because it took away season 7 of the Clone Wars. Then season 6 had to be rushed, and it was put out like on Netflix. But it had some really good stuff in there, specifically with with all the Order 66 kind of explanation. Really does justify a lot of the complaints people had about Revenge of the Sith, and it does. Yeah, this season goes a long way to just kind of wrapping up a lot of ties and thinking that it's going to be the last season. And then Yoda's journey at the end is like really interesting. I've got some thoughts about Yoda. I don't love. I think he's kind of a jerk sometimes.
yeah, you
he's an
said that.
antagonist. Yeah, I love some of his like bits of wisdom, but like fundamentally disagree with his philosophy and think like clearly he's written to be at fault for all this and for basically the downfall of the Jedi Order. That's at least how I see it. And then this arc, Yoda kind of goes through this spiritual journey of realizing that there's more to the Force than he ever admitted or ever even knew. So that was a big moment for me. I really like season 6 a lot. 6 and 5 with Ahsoka's like whole Jedi Order thing. I related a lot to her journey and her quest for taking the courage to leave the Order, was something that was very inspiring to me.
Yeah. I mean, Yoda's journey, the Mortis arc, you have Ahsoka's journey at the end, which I think that's my favorite. That's the best part of Clone Wars for me, is like Ahsoka's trial and everything there. I just think that's peak. So, I mean, the end is obviously very climactic, dramatic, and really, really good.
7, like with the Mandalore stuff and the greatest duel in the entire show, with Ahsoka and Maul. That rules, man.
Yeah.
That
100%.
was awesome.
Yeah. Well, and for folks who are joining us now, yes, Amanda is not here this week. And so if you need to leave, we understand. It's just Brian and I. We're doing our darndest. We're darndest. But we have no hot takes because Amanda's not here. And
I've got a hot take.
You really
not a very hot take. It's a take. I always try to bring something to the table, even if it's not the hottest. There wasn't a lot of heat in this episode to talk about.
Well, then I'll press the button.
Don't be too proud of this podcast you've constructed. The ability to rank content is insignificant next to the power of an exceptional hot take.
All right, it's hot takes time, and Brian has the hot take of the day. Brian, without further ado, take it away, sir.
In this episode, we're introduced to Jabo Hood, and I've been just raving about this kid. I think he might be my favorite character that's in just one episode of a TV show for Star Wars. Of all the one-off characters, Jabo Hood, I think, honestly, he's so chill. Like, if there's anyone, that I respect more, it's the kid that's able to just go out and do his own thing, reprogram some battle droids, and just live your best life. And I think we need to bring Jabo back. Yeah. I think I'll stand by that. I think I can defend that.
Of any Star Wars show, I mean that you're including
best one-off character. I mean best character that's only in one episode. So like, yeah, who am I excluding in The Mandalorian that's only in one episode?
Oh man.
Jack Black's character. Oh, that's true. I don't know. He's pretty cool. He's pretty chill too.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm pretty sure you're wrong there. All right, hold on. I'm gonna see what Google has to say. Best characters in Star Wars who only show up for one episode.
And this is not including the movies.
Okay. Yeah.
It's just
I mean,
other stuff.
everything. Wow, there's like an hour and a half long podcast just dedicated to that specific. Okay.
Oh, maybe
Star
I
Wars-
should join that one too.
All right. So, well, one, you have Quarry from Rebels, who's season 2, episode 7.
Oh,
you
the kid
have-
is basically J-Bo. Yeah.
Mhm. You have no. All right. Well, we can't include Leia Organa. Can't include Bo-Katan. I don't remember Wolf Yularen.
Oh, right.
Yeah. What about
He's got a cameo.
what about Click Clack from the
Click-clack.
ghost? Yeah, the ghost of Geonosis. He was the last Geonosian to exist.
Oh, yeah. No, Geonosians are creepy. No, they freak me out.
Okay, well, you do have in Rebels. I can't say Anakin or Obi-Wan, even though they were just in that one episode. Wow. Okay. Hold on. I just because it's taking me a second doesn't mean you're right. I just have to like really go through and see who else is out there because this is you've got to be wrong. You have to be. There's no way. I refuse to.
Most
accept-
characters, they bring them back, like a lot of. There's not really a lot of just one-off episodes.
No.
So I think a lot of characters get out of the category just by default. The ones that you would think of.
That's what I'm looking at. I mean, I've got Click Clack. And I'm going to disagree with you because of Click Clack.
Because of Click Clack? Okay.
Only because he's the last of his race. When he dies, like there are no more Geonosians after him.
Good riddance.
Wow. All right, that's another hot take. Yeah, so I mean, that's like so much more impactful. Like just that story alone. Now I know there's other people besides Click Clack, but that's something.
I don't know. Not that you can think of. So they at least weren't very impressionable.
Neither was this kid. I don't even remember his name after you said it. Like
J-Bo Hood. Don't forget it.
J-Bo Hood. Yeah, I tell you what, is he the kind of guy you'd want to have his own spinoff?
Oh, absolutely. Or at least like bring him back in Bad Batch. I think I think that's a cool system to explore as well. So I definitely see a story there in Bad Batch season 3. So that's maybe I'll just put my prediction in there. I'm throwing my hat in the ring for J-Bo Hood appearing in Bad Batch 3. I
just wish he was like an NFL running back. Because I could just like hear the announcers. And there goes J-Bo Hood at the 20, at the 10. And just losing their mind. Leaps over, kicks a man. J-Bo Hood. Just
brutal on the field. Yeah.
I would love it. I'd love it. So but overall, I'm gonna go ahead and disagree with you only because Click Clack.
For Click Clack. Okay.
I got a bad feeling about this hot take.
I just want to say I will be watching from here on out to see. Oh, you know what? No, I know another guy that's better than J-Bo Hood, and it's from the Bad Batch. He's on one of the best pieces of Star Wars content I've ever seen, and it's that episode where Crosshair is in that snowy planet, and you've got that one older, I don't know if he's a general or what he is, and he's been the one basically positioned with leading at that outpost.
Yeah.
And he dies basically in Crosshair's arms.
That was really sad.
Because, yeah, like the commanding officer just didn't care to tend to his wounds, and he was able to be healed. So that guy was also better than J-Bo Hood. And I got 2.
Two? I'll give you 1.5 for Click Clack. I do think that's a good character. That's a great episode of TV. It's a little unfair though. Like, come on, man. Of course that guy's too good.
Yeah, exactly.
Too good for all of us. But is he really his own character? Because no, that's insensitive. That's clonist.
Exactly. You clonist. How dare you? How dare you? No, I mean, is Boba Fett his own person?
More so than the rest of the clones.
They have different color paint. That's
It's
something.
important. Yeah, very different upbringings.
Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to tell who they were. But, well, that is this week's episode of Duel the Ranks. And if you want more information about us, Google us. We're like, type that in on Google. I'm pretty sure we're number one still for our name. Otherwise, you can find us Apple Podcasts, YouTube, all those places. But yeah, remember Click Clack. And, maybe you remember Jabo Hood. Either way, none of them will matter because they never show up again. But we will. See you
We'll be
next week.
back.